how have you guys been approaching what's been going on in the past 2 or so months in terms of Europe and the States? Have you kind of had any projects that you've been able to still work on that you had going into it?
Yes, so the fact is we were very busy during Q4 last year, and thanks to that, we've been still finishing some homework that we had to deliver to our clients. But we have been surprised that the industry is still pushing. It really depends on who you talk to. So both in Europe and in the States, our clients that are still trying to figure out what they're going to do with their lives when they go back to normal. But there are others that are, still pushing hard, and they believe that they need to create something that makes the difference and generate revenue in a different manner. It's also true that our business is very related to ticketing, and we've been suffering the consequences. So there are a lot of partners that we have, ticketing platforms that they have been focusing their attention in refunds and in many other problems that I'm pretty sure that you are aware. So it's a mix of both worlds, but we're still happy to be here and just pushing forward with the new set of services.
We've had teams reach out and say, hey, we're realizing that we're not going to be able to sell tickets the way we're used to. A lot of teams are still inviting their potential customers down to the venue, getting them into specific seats and getting them excited about those seats and signing them up. With COVID now, who knows when those in-venue visits will be able to take place. So they're looking to us to create a virtual environment in order to facilitate that conversation.
Once the pandemic is finished, do you think that people are going to be kind of so desperate to get back to those live events, whether it be music, whether it be sport, that they've been missing, that there is, once we are freely available again, that there is going to be a big influx back into the industry?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it? Right now, fans are changing their behaviors. They are finding new hobbies. And some people may decide to use their money, their free time on that new hobby they found during this crisis. Others may drop that in a second and run back to the venue that they so miss. So we'll see some of each. I think in the short term, a lot of studies have shown that people will be reluctant to go into a large venue for some time, even after, who knows how to define when this is over. But it may take some time for us to get to where we were at the beginning of the year.
With the new solution that I'll let you expand on in a second as well, and how it can work with integrating fans back into stadiums, do you think that obviously there's also possibly going to be potential for kind of new sponsorship areas in stadiums, maybe in terms of where fans can't be seated and things like that might offer kind of different avenues once people do start going back in, or even to stadiums without fans?
So we've been in conversations these days with a lot of clubs that are just trying to figure out how to, have fans again inside the stadium. And it's true, if you start applying these social distancing measures, what do you do with the remaining seats? A lot of clients were talking about removing the seats physically, which is something that, from our opinion, it's undoable, because the vast majority of the venues, they have a rack of seats that a single piece, maybe has 6 or 8 seats. If you get rid of the single piece, it's difficult to manage this. So they were talking about adding, plastic covers or something on top. And obviously this has to do with what you just mentioned, new ways of sponsoring, advertising. But at the same time, we've been in conversations with other clients that rely on the digital space, and they were asking us, is it possible to combine the physical seats with the virtual representations that you can just change depending on the region or the area where the fan is, watching the match? And obviously, this is something that goes beyond what we can offer, but definitely there's a huge opportunity over there. And I believe everyone is just trying to figure out which is the best digital solution to address that matter.
This kind of whole venue business intelligence solution that you guys have come up with in terms of a way of getting people gradually, as seems like it will probably be the case once stadiums are reopened, back in?
Yeah, I think it's clear at this point that sports will start for TV only, no fans. I've seen renderings of sponsored tarps on all the lower bowl sections that would be viewed on TV. But when we look at a solution like that, how long will that be necessary is a big question. So, is that investment going to be worthwhile? Everyone wants to get fans back in as soon as possible, and our venue business intelligence tool is designed to help the teams understand what their venue capacities will be and how to get there. It's a complicated topic, so I'll start simply. We've written an algorithm that allows our clients to put in certain variables. So, for instance, whatever the local social distancing requirement is. In Europe, we see 1.5 meters a lot. Here in the United States, it's 6 feet. We either ask them, should we shoot for a minimum capacity? Some of our clients are saying, hey, I need to be at X percentage just to open. So show me how to get there. Or we ask for the percentage splits of different sizes of groups. So groups of 4 seats, 2, 3, 1, so on. And we plot those around the venue in the most efficient manner and let them know what the venue capacity would be. That raises a whole bunch of questions, who's allowed to sit together, who shouldn't be sitting together, and so on. Fortunately, we don't have to make those decisions, but we have the tools to empower the teams to figure it out.
How did you come up with that idea? Was it something that kind of you guys were searching for something new, a new way that you could kind of help out your clients, or was it something they came to you about and then it kind of just spawned from there?
As you may know, we are specialists on virtualizing venues using, creating 3D representations of venues using architectural information. So we said, why don't we try to apply all this knowledge that we have acquired over the years just to create a real calculation, okay? Because there's a lot of, a lot going on and a lot of people just trying to explain how to apply social distancing. But in the end, you need to be accurate when you are calculating these and presenting, let's say, social distancing seat map, just to guarantee that you are, fulfilling all the standards and all the safety measures that have been applied. So we started analyzing if our knowledge was valid for that, and we understood that it was. And thanks to these 3D measurements, we are able to launch this algorithm and calculate, for instance, if the number of rows that we need to kill between seats needs to be 1 or 2. And this is something that has to do, for instance, with the slope of the venue. So to be simplistic, tier 1 for a particular venue where you have a slower slope, which is something smaller, like 10 degrees, maybe you need to kill 2 rows just to separate people. But when you go to tier 3 or tier 4, where you have a bigger slope and you have an angle of 36 or 40 degrees, then you need to kill just 1 row to separate the one guy from the other, right? So this is something that you can only achieve if you have this 3D environment with this real data. Otherwise, you are going to be just providing approximations, and this is dangerous because you can have complaints, and as a consequence, you can get sued or whatever, something even worse.
Yeah, I mean, was that kind of the most important focus on making sure that it was detailed and would fit all of those different models?
Yeah, in the end, for us, it was, we've been trying to defend or approach our client, just telling that everything that we build represents the reality, So that's the fact number one. And that's why we are the only, let's say, provider in the world virtualizing venues and creating individual seat views, because we have a different methodology. And that's what we are taking advantages to use it for this particular visual venue intelligence, So we believe that now we are in a position to start creating simulations for venues. And the simulations are just a starting point to open a conversation with them. We don't have, the ability or the knowledge of their particular business rules. For instance, there are clients that are approaching us just to simulate how to, relocate their season ticket base for instance, in different waves, because when you apply social distancing, the capacity of their venues are reduced sometimes, best case scenario, to 30%. Yeah, let's say a big season ticket base and you need to split them. It's going to be hard just to sit them all in one wave, you know. So how do you approach these? How do you change the prices? How do you, communicate this to the fans? So this is very, very complicated. And especially now, if they are at home, you need to have digital tools to provide this, solution and this possible communications.
We've yet to market this product, aside from some press, and Francis and I are on the phone all day with various teams. So yes, everyone is quite excited to have a tool that allows them to automate this. Because imagine walking around the venue with a tape measure, trying to figure this out on your own, and it's frankly it's just not possible for the reasons that Francis mentioned, with calculating in the slope of the seating stands and so on. What we can do is, using precise measurements in the 3D model, we can make sure you're maximizing your capacity. If you and I, Ben, were to go to a game, we don't quarantine together, so as it is today, we shouldn't sit together, but we want to sit close. So now the ticketing system needs to be reconfigured, where I identify how many tickets I'd like to purchase, and then the next question is going to be, well, do you want them together or separate? If I'm going with my wife, obviously, I'd like them to be together. Everything's going to have to be re-examined across the board. How people buy the tickets, how people enter the venues, the control within the venue. I think a lot of pressure will be put on ushers to make sure that people aren't breaking the rules, because the last thing we want as an industry is to have a COVID breakout tied back to a live event. That could have a ripple effect that could shut down every live event around the world. And no one wants that pinned on their venue, on their sports team, what have you.
Since nobody knows how long this situation is going to last, we are just trying to be simple. And what we're doing right now is, for instance, every client that is approaching us, they are sending us their seat manifest. Okay, so they have a clear understanding, or we have a clear understanding, how do they seat their season ticket holders, just to use this as an example. And they share with us a floor plan, an architectural plan that describes their venue. With these, we create an interactive seat map, we run the algorithm, and we place the new seat manifest on top of the seat map. So as soon as we do these, we provide them a link where they can interact with the seat map. And in the next week, we're going to give them the option to edit the seat map themselves. What does it mean? We run the first version of the algorithm, but obviously the output is one out of 10 or 12 different solutions that they can get. So next step for them would be, I access the map. I want to edit or amend this particular section because I don't want to have groups of 4 here, or I need to apply certain restrictions. So it's a live tool that they can just, edit their map. And as soon as they are happy with their editing, they can click on save and download the amended or socially distanced seat manifest that they will upload to their ticketing system. So in the end, we are not directly connected, because our opinion is it would take, let's say, a decent amount of time just to create APIs for any ticketing platform. And that's not the intention of what we're doing right now.